Grand Rising, everyone. And this is Artists of Truth. Welcome to my vlog. So today what I wanted to touch on is church. All right. Now I understand there's probably a lot of people who are Christians, who are Christians, Muslims. Me personally, I'm neither. I'm not even an atheist. I consider myself a very, very spiritual, grounded individual. So there are certain entities and deities that I no longer adopt. I used to adopt to those things because that's what my parent introduced me to and raised me in. But as I got older, I started to think for myself. I started to ask questions that a lot of adults were unable to answer. Now, what you believe is what you believe. Belief is, to me, belief is what you are putting your energy into in order to manifest it. You put your belief in your faith in things, in entities or deities that do not necessarily progress you throughout life. And like I was saying, I took my son to an interview and I was waiting outside. I was sitting in the vehicle waiting outside, and I was looking across the street at a church. And I noticed how everyone was, together outside of this particular church. And, one of those things came to mind was, we make time for things that we really and truly want to make time for. Like you have a lot of Christian folks who they faithfully and religiously go to church. Whether it's early morning service, 11 o'clock service, or maybe even afternoon service. They bring their families. It's mandatory now. When parents go out, they take their kids. A lot of times they look at their kids like, no, you can't stay home. You got to go to church too. So come on. So it's like you're forcing something which you don't know necessarily if it applies to, if it applies to you or it benefits your life. And I know a lot of people, they feel like, hey, you really shouldn't judge people. But what I've learned in life is that judgment is good. There's nothing wrong with judging. I feel that when you judge a person, you're judging a person in a sense of their character, their actions, their behaviors. Again, what I've noticed is so many people will congregate together, but then when people need to congregate together, they're not, especially for a common cause, which is going to support people as a whole. Sorry about that. I had to clear my throat. But yeah, it hit me, and I was sitting back like laughing to myself like, yo, this is very, very funny that Okay, I'll give you an example, right? Prime example. Parent-teacher conference, right? Now, I've noticed this ever since I've been, in public school. But what I've noticed is black folks will congregate in large numbers at a church, all right? At a church, at a concert event, outdoor events, it really doesn't matter. But they will congregate like in large numbers. But things such as town hall meetings, and parent-teacher conferences, or any sort of meeting which is going to help advance the community, right? You don't see them herd together in large numbers than you would in outdoor or indoor concert forums and churches. It's like, why is that? And I can't help but to question. But moreover, I look at things like that and it tells me exactly where people's priorities are. It tells, it sends a clear, concise message out that, some people, they don't want to change how their children are being educated. They don't want to change their own community. They're just hoping and praying that someone else will step in and change everything for them. I mean, think about it. When a black person's life has been taken away from them, or they have been falsely, accused and incarcerated, we will come together in large numbers. We will march, pray, protest. We will do all of these things. But when it comes down to working collectively together, we don't do that. Not in large numbers like you would see in a church or a concert forum. It's like, have we been so well conditioned into accepting someone else's methods of creating change for ourselves and our own community that collectively we can't come together and come up with creative solutions to resolve our issues in our communities and in our households, in our own life? It's like, why? It's like people don't know how to prioritize the more important things in life. Things which are important. Now, I understand, a lot of folks, a lot of people will say, well, Christianity is very important, and going to church and congregating is very, very important. I'm like, okay. That's what you feel. That's what you believe. But also, I'm, I'm also mindful that people pray and they congregate, but a year later, if you still see yourself in the same position, you see yourself still dealing with the same undesirable people, you don't see yourself really advancing up the incline of life. You still see yourself doing the same shit, interacting with the same people. And it's like no one can remove you from that. No one can remove you from that. Regardless of, look, regardless of how much praying that you're doing, guess what? If you're not willing to change it yourself, then all of your praying and congregating at church and whatnot is not going to change the situation at all. It's not going to make your life any better at all. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because I like to get people to think. Now, mind you, if you're listening to this, look at yourself. Look at yourself and just honestly ask yourself, hey, am I prioritizing the things which are important and the things which are manifesting a change in my life? Like, are you? Me personally, I have not been inside of anyone's church since it's been about five years now since I moved away from my hometown. And I went from staying in a hotel to staying with a friend that I consider my sister. And from that point, I went from there to an apartment, to a relationship, to a house. To a house. Mind you, never stepped one foot inside of anyone's church. Look here. I'll do you all one better. This is just how serious, that I am. You see this? This is my home. That is my home. Beautiful, beautiful home. My first home ever. Okay? Now, mind you, I didn't pray. I knew this was something that I wanted for myself and I wanted for my family. Now, we put in the work to manifest these things. We put in the work. Now, I communicated with my elders. And I asked them for insight and wisdom. And guess what? They provided me with that. When I went to them with clean hands and an open mind to listen and accept anything that they were willing to tell me, you know what? I started noticing things were changing just like that. When things got a little rough, and I was like, yo, let me go talk to my elders, and between my grandmother and my stepfather, it's like a lot of things has really manifested for me. And all of it really came into existence solely because I was directing my energy towards a place and a spirit which once existed here, and I look at a lot of stuff that's transpiring in churches. It's like the pastors, you have some pastors, they are selective about their message. I haven't came across a pastor that spoke on every single solitary thing in the Bible. No, I haven't. Not at all. But I also know that there's a lot of contradictions in the Bible. But let me get back to the subject at hand. And that is, it is amazing how it's amazing how people can congregate respectfully and quietly, but outside of a church, that can't be done. And it's a shame, it is a shame. It's sad that for a common cause to create change in our own community as well as our own household, we can't come together. Like, why? And I feel the reason why we can't collectively come together in such a calm and respectful manner like they would do in a church is because they have more, it seems like they have a little more respect for the church than they would themselves and each other. That's wild, isn't it? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I can't, I could never wrap my mind around this at all fully. I really couldn't. I really can't. And I used to ask my pastor a lot of questions. And it seemed like he would always revert back to the Bible to give me an answer instead of giving me an answer from his own mind, from his own heart. If you have to revert back to a book, then you're not thinking for yourself. If you have to revert to a book that is filled with contradictions, you're not thinking for yourself. I don't care what race, what nationality, ethnicity you are. Look, at some point in your life, you need to learn how to think for yourself. Believe me, when you start to think for yourself, you see life in an entirely different lens. When you start to think for yourself and you start to question certain things, like, that really doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't. It honestly doesn't, it gets to the point where, like with me, I question everything. Malcolm X stated that himself. You never take a person's word as face value. You always question everything. And I know there are some people out there that feel like, some people, they ask stupid questions. It's no such thing as a stupid question. People who say stupid shit like that are usually the ones that don't have a logical answer at all. So really, they're stupid. Because again, no question is ever stupid. But what is stupid is you're not logically and reasonably able to think for yourself. And ever since, hell, as long as I can remember, as far back as I can remember, we have always been taught to think, operate, and move in a way which is acceptable to someone else. Like when people started picking up that I wasn't going to church, anymore. I had members from my old church that was telling my mom that your son is lost. The only way he can bounce back is, he has to find Jesus. I was like, says who? I was like, wait a minute. How is it that one can say that I'm lost, but yet our people are being led to a slaughter? Everybody can't be sheep. Everyone cannot be sheeple. I guess now they consider me the black sheep, the black sheep of the family, or as I would consider myself, the lone wolf, because I don't have a problem with asking questions. I'm not complacent. I never want to be complacent in my life. I want to be able to ask questions and literally free myself. Because right now, mentally, we're still enslaved. Just because your body is free doesn't mean your mind is free. Doesn't mean that your mind is free. We are living in a society, in a country where it thrives off of pushing this narrative that people are free, but mentally they have you shackled because you can't think for yourself. You can't speak freely as you would want to speak, right? You can't call out injustice against an organization or a group of people. You can't do that without being faced with some sort of backlash or repercussions because you're speaking freely. Now, I understand that is a light, that is a very, very light bridge to be walking on, because it opens the door to a lot of hate-filled, racist individuals. I understand that, but in any sense, I welcome them as well, because I like to see and I like to recognize the people that I'm interacting with. If you're a racist, I'm just like, all right, cool. I know how you are. So if I see you dangling over a bridge, I just keep it moving. There are going to be people in life that you can't save. And some people who are under this impression that they are saved, they are so far from the truth. It's like the more you read, the more you know. And a lot of people have gotten very, very complacent. And then they're looking for solutions, but they're not realizing that the solutions are right here. They're the solutions. They're looking for change, but guess what? The change is here. The change is here. You have the ability to shape, form, and make your future, your destiny, exactly what you want it to be. But the reason why that cannot happen, some people it's happening. Some, a lot of other folks, it's not happening for them. And the reason why it's not happening for them is because you are the change. You are the change. We are the change. But we have gotten away from the mindset of revolutionaries who thought, spoke, and acted on freedom, on being free from constraints, free from mental enslavement. People break free away from that. My sole duty here in existing in this temple, in this life, my sole existence is to educate, empower, and put people's minds in a perspective thinking process. Like for once in your life, just put those things away. Put those things away. I understand some people will jump out there and say, well, if you don't go to church and you don't do this, you're going to hell. You're bound for hell. Look here. Says who? Says who? Don't read me anything from a book that man has written. Because men lie. Humans lie. Humans lie to whatever benefits them, they lie. And I find it amusing. You're not supposed to be monetizing in the church. You got folks in the church, they're monetizing left and right. Money here, money there. They got collection plates going around multiple times saying, oh, pay your tithes, pay the building fund, pay tithes, pay the building fund. My thing is, why in the hell are we paying for the building fund when the church is tax exempt? 501c. Look it up. I know there's some pastors that really don't like that, but it's just like, prove me wrong. Prove me that every single church is not tax exempt, non-profit. They're profiting and they're taking from the people. I mean, if you're going to tithe, guess what? Tithe by doing for those who are less fortunate. There are plenty of homeless individuals out here right now. There are plenty of homeless individuals that need help, that would love help. And I'm like, shoot, the money that you put into that collection plate or that building fund does nothing for the man, woman, or family that is out there and they're less fortunate. It does nothing for them. You think for 1 minute the church is going out every single day consistently helping the people? You a bold-faced lie. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. And as many of these churches that you have in the community, you telling me all of these churches can't bound together and work for the common cause to help those less fortunate? Something else for you to think about. Again, they talk that talk, but they don't walk the walk. And then you have some pastors, they butt heads. Like, why you butting heads for? If you're supposed to be doing God's work, why y'all butting heads for? Y'all not real pastors. Y'all scam artists. You know what I'm saying? Y'all scam artists. It's just like a trap house. You got a trap house up the street here, and then you got a trap house on the other side of town. You think they working together? No. It's a competition. They're butting heads. So the churches are no different. Don't let these pastors shoot you the bullshit. Because they're monetizing off of it. Shit. Think about it. Some of these pastors, they don't have a real job. They consider being a pastor their real job. So it's like, shoot, when that money come around, oh, you know, they taking their skin, they taking their bit off the top. Once again, tax exempt, 501c, nonprofit. So while you're going in giving your money, guess what? They taking theirs off the top. They taking theirs off the top. So when you turn around, you look up and you wonder, damn, my pastor got a Bentley now. My pastor got a Bentley now. Wow. My pastor got a chopper now. Wow. My pastor taking a flight to Dubai to preach the gospel in Dubai for the next 2 weeks. Wow. Really now? But it's amazing. You and your family, y'all can't even take a damn trip out of the state. But the first time you miss paying your tithes, you notice how they give you that look like, well, you haven't been paying your tithes now. Man, fuck out of my goddamn face. At some point, you have to learn how to think for yourself. And it's sad because we are failing ourselves. We are failing our community. Because if you can get up each and every damn morning religiously and go to a church, there's no excuse why you should not be able to attend a town hall meeting to discuss issues going on in your community. There's no excuse why you consistently miss out on your child's parent-teacher conference. Like, don't give me no excuses about, well, I got to work. I got to work. I got to work. Prioritize. That's our problem. And I was guilty of it. I was guilty of not prioritizing. When I start stopping and like, yeah, I need to work, but shit, I need to prioritize on things that are very important, that is going to lead up to my change, the change for my family. And it's no different than anyone else out there who is listening to this vlog right now. Your change starts with you. Stop sitting on your ass. Stop making excuses and stop looking and hoping and praying that someone is going to ascend from the heavens above, or some political figurehead is going to take your concerns, your views, and your concerns about your community into consideration and think that, oh, they're going to change it. No, the only people that can change it are you out there watching. Because if you just solely leaning on someone else to bring about a change in your community, in your household, in your life, guess what? You are in trouble. Like you're royally fucked, really. Yeah. So, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up because I have a couple of moves I got to make. But keep in mind, I challenge people for a maybe this a month might be a stretch. So let's go with the next 3 weeks. The next 3 weeks, challenge yourself for the next 3 weeks. Don't go to church. Don't entertain it. Don't go to church, but go to a quiet spot in your home. And an elder that you honor, that you respect. Go to a place, light a candle. Create an altar for yourselves. Create an altar and speak. Look for ways to communicate with your elders, whether it's your grandmother, your grandfather, your mom, your dad, communicate with an elder. Try it for 3 weeks consistently, twice a week. Communicate. Speak to them as if you were speaking to Jesus. Speak to them. in the same manner, with the same passion and openness that you would have for some fictitious entity. And see if you start recognizing change. See if you just sit back and pay attention and see if life is starting to slightly change. You know, things that you have consistently been seeing and experiencing, see how that changes. Just watch. You see how it changed. I mean, what do you have to lose? If nothing works out for you, you know, shoot, okay, we're going back to whatever you were following up and believing in and putting your faith in. But start creating change for yourself. Don't wait on anyone else. Because while you're waiting on someone else, there's a lot of things in life that you're missing out on. Prioritize, most of all. Prioritize your time. If you can make time to go to church, you can make time to go to a goddamn town hall meeting to find out what is going on in your community. Let your voice be heard, because a lot of our voices are not being heard. A lot of our voices are not being heard because we're not coming down and getting involved. We're not coming to these town hall meetings. We're not addressing these issues. We're not trying to come up with creative solutions to change what is going on in our own community. We're too busy trying to look around for someone else to do the shit, not recognizing that we have the power, we have the strength in numbers to create change. We're just making excuses. This is allegedly the new year, 2020. All right, whatever. When are we going to stop crying, bickering, and bitching and utilize what resources that we do have? Because guess what? The one resource that we do have is the ability to show up in numbers and speak at a town hall meeting. Speak against something that is about to affect your community, and not only your community, it's going to affect you. Speak up for it. But if no one is there to speak up for it, guess what? The continuation of gentrification, all of these changes being made in your community, you're going to miss out. So when the change comes in, it's too late to say anything about it. It's too late to get out here and march and protest and do all of the rest of this nonsense, because it serves as no purpose. So it's up to you. You have to prioritize. You have to make time for the things that's more important. If you can make time to go out here and congregate at someone's church and throw your money away, you can prioritize the same way to get to these town hall meetings in large numbers and address the issue at hand. Whatever issues that you are subjected to in your own community, let that be known. Because when they start seeing us come out in large collective numbers, and they're just like, wait a minute, okay, we got a problem here. Because these folks, they are totally against what we're trying to do. We're trying to shape, form, and mold this community into what we want it to be, and they want it to remain the same, but they're willing to compromise. We just have to hear them out. They're not going to hear you outside of the town hall. At that point in time, it's just like, well, shit, were you there at the town hall? Okay, well, what you got to say to me right now is just simply irrelevant. That is their attitude. So in the meantime, in between time, take what I'm saying into an account. Think about what you're subjecting yourself to. 3 weeks. 3 weeks is all I'm asking. Don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. You want change. People want change. Change is always good. But one of the things that really keeps us from attaining that change is fear. You cannot be fearful of change. Either you change or someone's going to change for you. And if they change it, you might not be comfortable with it. You may end up being in a more compromising position than what you are now. So, in the meantime, in between time, I love you guys. Have a wonderful, magnificent Sunday. And let's start off the work week on a powerful, strong, moving note. And again, 3 weeks, prioritize and put your energy into manifesting a change that you can actually see for yourself. Your mind belongs to you. Remove undesirable individuals out of your way if you want to advance, if you want to grow. Talk with you soon. One love.